And welcome to Asia Vortex, ladies and gentlemen, on the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know that we tell right here because somebody's got to do it. Tonight we have a special read on the original thought, the Gospel of the Atom, and we can go to our graphic now, which is misnomered as the Gospel of Thomas. And we're going to share that with you right now. We did it on the other network. I think it was on Ask Desert Owl. But you know, the game that has been played on us with words is Toto. Okay. And unless one dedicates their entire life to learning this stuff, um, and especially having to learn the diction, that was crucial, ladies and gentlemen. That's foundational. It's not just picking up the books and the scriptures and reading them and thinking you got what it was. You don't have what it was, nor what it is. What it is something totally different that has escaped the mind because we have been um, um, propagandized by a world elite that does not want you to be set free or transcend. So you think they're going to give you original scriptures? I um, I can be here to tell you that's not the case. So you see on the graphics here, the Gospel of Thomas, and in the Aramaic, he's called Toma. So that's a clue. And then when you see that it's an anagram for the atom, then it begins to make sense because everybody thinks that he was called the twin, but that's a cover. It's not the correct terminology for the original meaning. Now, all of the followers received what we call nicknames. Uh, Yalganun and Yalkave, oh, James and John, excuse me, were called sons of thunder and sons of Zebedee. Zebedee was a code for the sons with the gift because they were Levitical scribes. That's why they went everywhere with Yeshua, because they were writing everything down. Contrary to modern day academia uh, that say, oh, well, they didn't write anything down for the first 40 years. Right. That sounds logical, doesn't it? Of course not. So we've been lied to about everything. And when you start really getting adept in it, then you can be able to see the gravity, what's going on, because they've changed names, places, things, everything, tenses. It's big, ladies and gentlemen. And so this is what we reveal here. As I say with the opening quote on the chat, unless there is a discussion on how words and scriptures have all been changed and transformed, there can be no discussion. And so continuing on here, it's really the gospel of the duplicate. But since they're using the terminology Thomas, then it goes back to Toma, and then it goes back to what it originally implied, and that is the gospel of the atom. But of course, gospel is a corruption. This gospel was to supplant evangelion, and so it's the star message. Evangelion means star message of the atom, meaning of the duplication. Duplication, what? You become a follower. You become another Yeshua. You become a Moshiach, just like he is the Moshiach. He said, greater works you would do. Well, that's quite a bit of action. Greater works we would do. And so he breathes, ladies and gentlemen, and he's breathing here. Next graphic, please, Ninja, okay? And so it's about the atom. The very first Yeshua is the very first atom. And then he was the perfect first made. And then after him, everything is a duplicate. Okay? Everything is a duplicate. And so I'm going to show you how you follow the words back before we do our read. I don't know. I haven't been broadcasting for several days, and I don't feel like I've got a strong enough voice here to go on. We may do part two. We'll go halfway, and then we'll do part two if I don't make it through here. Okay? But I know we have some listeners on the online now, and we're going to have some coming in later on. So I want to welcome all of our listeners here. And so here we have the atom. So note, oh, and by the way, the sun is a symbol of the atom. It is a logo. It is the logo. It is the symbol. It is the image. We have to get these pictures. We have to realize we've been removed from 0 point, and we have to get back to 0 point. Note, Thomas, Toma, and Didymos, also known as the duplicate, the atom, as it is in the original thought. Aramaic, then we can follow the line that says Aramaic, going backwards to the right. Thomas, Toma, Toma, atom means duplicate. Greek. And by the way, that's why he represented the doubter, because the ability to see an event that we're distantly removed from. We weren't there. And how can we trust? Because we are a duplicate. We are a creation being made at this very moment in our possession of the knowledge of who Yeshua is and what he wants to do with us. And so it's a transition. By following the operation in the shultres, the scriptures. Remember, scriptures mean skip truth. We want shultres, sutures. They tie everything together. So on the Greek, we find didymos. That's where the word comes from. Didymos meaning not twin, but duplicate, like ditto. See, it's the word ditto. Ditto means another one, a duplicate. Didomoishan means the duplicate, not twin. Aramaic, given name. Judas, that's his, what we would call his legal name. Judas or Yuda or Yutha, and which is abbreviated as Yud in the corruption in the Aramaic, which would be really correctly Yutha or youth. Maybe the A is silent when we're talking about the dot. Okay, so the A is sometimes silent, sometimes pronounced. Is it a vowel? Is it a consonant? And that's what we have to discover within the Eshavors. Okay, so it means the cosmic atomic breath of a star. And star is a corruption on the word czar. We can see czar as a power word. We had Nebuchadnezzar. We have the Kaiser, and in the beginning it wasn't Egypt. It was Meitzar, Meitzarim. In fact, Yeshua's mother was called Meitzar, Meitzarim, and then it was corrupted into Miriam. Then it was corrupted into Mary. You see, and so Thomas is a Vatican Babylonian occult cyber code. Okay, so we're going to get into the read now, and we can go back to the other graphic, Ninja, please, and thank you. Alrighty, so getting into the preamble, and here's the smoking gun, because they say that this is the work of Thomas or Thomas, when actually we find out in the New Testament Apocrypha that it was Matthew who wrote down all these words and not Thomas. So there's the smoking gun. Okay. And that's because he was a Levitical scribe also. That's why he was a tax collector. And that's why he was able to have a big feast for Yeshua with all these people invited, because he was wealthy. He was from the elite class, but he came out because he wanted nothing to do with their hypocrisy and their corruption. So in the preamble, these are the mysterious breathings that the Asia Fire, Veta life giver Yeshua sparked with Utah, Judah, the atom, the duplicate, of which Matthew Shalah, have written down as I heard them, and they all spoke together. And that's Matthew qualifying it at the beginning. And so I put topical entries on each of these 114 sayings. I'm only up to 35, I think it is right now. So we're only going up to 35 and doing about 3 or 4 a day. And so within about 20 days, we should be done and have this available. Anybody can get a copy, though, just so you know, by PDF, by email, by contacting Ninja Cat. Okay, she'll be glad. Any size donation, we'll get a copy to you. Okay, and we want to share. If you don't have that funny money, then just let us know and we'll get it to you as a gift from the Father above. Okay, because the time is short, as you know, ladies and gentlemen. They're coming for all of us, the families, the little ones, and so to pull together the great mystery of our spiritual nature, our spirituality, we have to hear some things we've not heard before and know the game that they played on us. To be set free, to know the truth, Yeshua said, is to be set free. Let me get a little more light. Okay, So the first one is freed from death. So this is how the Veda life giver breathes. Whoever uncovers the mystery and interpretation of these breathings will no longer experience a death in exile, but a true life. I want to also add about what's happened in this process is I decided what was most important was to bring back all the missing pieces of the puzzle. So depending upon what the topic is, I then went into the other Schulteres scriptures and got the other parts of any given saying that was available in the what we call the four gospels or in the other lost writings, the other fragmented sayings of Yeshua, other copies of the Gospel of Thomas. So I went everywhere to find the missing elements. That includes to the other followers that came later on, Clement and also I think Eusebius. So this is taking it to the level it was at originally, which is to have a complete thought. Okay, not an incomplete thought, not another version of the other version that's incomplete. Uh, where you change one or two words, but literally comparing it with all the other. And I'm talking about going into the Aramaic versions, excuse me, and into the most ancient received text in the Greek, the Aramaic or Hebrew, and Coptic. Okay, and I have books that have all of these different versions, so it's a comparison, and it's to bring forth the original blossom, the original flower. That's the intention. There's no point in doing this if it can't inspire and it can't bring forth a deeper, uh, what I call pantation or breathing. That's what the intention was. So literally, this is an expansion on the Gospel of the Atom or the Gospel of Thomas, as the misnomer is. Okay, so here's seek truth, number 2. Yeshua breathes, let the one who seeks the truth not stop looking until he finds it. But when he finds the truth, he will become challenged. Then after he becomes challenged, he will become strengthened. And this is when he will be able to rule over the all of this lower creation and find the shalom of rest, the royal east, with the one hiding within. Number 3, the kingdom of heaven, the royal domain of the Son. Yeshua breathes. If those who are leading you declare before you, you must see and read it for yourself. The royal domain of the Son is in the sky. The kingdom of heaven is in the sky. Then the birds of the air must hold a precedence over you. Or if others breathe before you, it is beyond the great ocean. Then the fish must have the precedence over you. Or if they breathe, it is within the secret society. Do not go with them. For the royal domain of the great house of the Son is to be found deep inside of you. And when you can see this, then you will see it revealed and you will know that it is all around you. When you have come to identify with your true nature, then you will know, and then you will begin to comprehend that you are the offspring and the royal eyes of creation, a seed of the Asia fire, the Veta life giver, and the eye he is breathing, the great Father of all light. But if you are not willing to take a look at yourself and to know who you really are, then you must remain in poverty, and it will be you who is that state of poverty. The kingdom of heaven, the royal domain of the Son, must be pursued as it must be searched for. Number 4, for those who look for me, Yeshua breathes. The Eshan who is mature in his age should not wait to ask the royal eyes of creation, who has conquered the 7 sons of time, about the original pure state of being. And if it is discovered, that Eshan will then find for himself the all of the true Veta fire, the true life in a day without end. The one who looks for me diligently will find me in the royal eyes of the creation, of the seven sons. For here is where I am hidden within this duality, and here is where I am revealed as one. And those who are first will be made as the last, and those who are last will be made as the first, and they will all become one creation. The enlightened nature, what was once hidden, is now revealed in the things that are past, present, and that come. The kingdom of heaven, the royal house of the Son, what can be found within all Ashan, is sought for everywhere. He, the eye who seeks me in the seven sons above, will find there hidden that within the third and the final age is the place where I am revealed. I am telling you, too, keep asking, and it will be given to you. Keep looking, and you will find. Keep knocking, and the door will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who intensely seeks out finds. For the one who knocks and keeps on knocking, the gate of light will be open for him. I have always been among you with the seed of light, and still you have not recognized me. I have spoken with you as with a people of a higher intellect, for knowledge and for comprehension, and yet you have not recognized my voice, the only one who breathes. Number 5, have no fear of what is unknown. Yeshua breathes. Be conscious of the things that are in front of you, and what is hiding from you will be revealed for you. For there is nothing covered up that cannot be revealed, nor is there anything not known that cannot be known or be made clear, nor is there anything buried that cannot be raised up. Number 6, fasting, slowing, the tradition of abstinence. His truth seekers asked him by breathing, how do you want us to abstain and slow? How should we create light? Pray. How shall we implement charity, the carrot eye? What special diet should we observe? Yeshua breathes, don't tell lies, and do not do the things that you hate, and then all things will be revealed before the Son of truth. For there is nothing hidden that cannot be made clear, and nothing covered up that cannot be uncovered. Number 7, consuming the lion. Yeshua breathes, endowed and enlightened with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, and separate is the Ashan who consumes the lion and becomes the lion. But a curse remains upon the flesh, who the lion consumes, becoming the Ashan. The wise fisherman. Number 8. Yeshua breathes. The royal domain of the Malachi king is like a wise fisherman who threw his dragnet into the sea, who, when it was filled, pulled it in onto the shore, displaying every kind of fish, both small and great. Then sitting down among them, the wise fisherman saw the ones that were exceptionally large and perfect. So the wise fisherman, he threw back all of the inferior fish into the sea, and with the same amount of effort chose the perfect catch. So anyone with ears to hear had better listen. Number 9, the A sower. Yeshua breathes. You must see and read it for yourself. A seed planter grabbed a handful of seed and went out to scatter them around. Now some of them fell upon the open road where it was trampled underfoot. Then the scavenging birds of the air easily came and ate up what remained. Then some of them fell along the rocky cracks, and they quickly sprouted up. Upon sprouting, they could not take root, lacking the moisture and a healthy soil. So they could not produce any grain and soon withered away. Then others fell and grew among the thorns and milk thistles, but they were all choking the seedlings so that they could never grow up. And the serpent worms finally ate them all up. But some of the others fell onto perfect ground so that they could grow up to meet their full potential, producing perfect seed, 100 times more for each seed planted, for others yielding 60 times, and for others 20 in comparison. Let the eye, he who has ears for hearing, listen. Number 10, the fire upon the earth. I just want to add, this is my first time reading this uh, through, so if I'm stumbling a little bit, that's the reason. I like doing it fresh on the broadcast and enjoying embellishing the experience, and hope you're enjoying it as well, and realize that you're hearing something on planet Earth for the first time that you cannot hear anywhere else, because it's also laced with the elements of the Indo-Germanic as well as the lost parts of all of these works. Yeshua breathes, I have come to ignite a fire upon the institutions on earth, and I am fanning it until it becomes a blinding and blazing light for all the world to read. It is a baptism of fire to be buried with, and I am fully bound and focusing upon this until the moment when it is finally finished. Do you think that I have arrived to bring peace to this entire earth? I breathe not so. Instead, both I and my truth creates a division. Is this not the fire, the mother star's focusing light of indignation, burning within you? For all of these things that the true light of the truth has shone upon you. And does not the flame of this indignation that is pleasing to the great Zulafhaim, Elohim, rise up within you, so that every dark sprout may be pulled up and destroyed from its root, if by chance any shoot of blind desire has the chance to blossom within you? The people should ignite a fire of protective anger against the total ignorance that had deceived them. It is on this account that the eye he breathes. I have come to ignite a fire upon the earth, and I am feeding it until it becomes a blazing inferno. For this reason, the Spirit breath draws all souls together and leads them back to the origin of light. This is the reason I breathe before you. I have come to ignite a fire upon the earth. That is, I have come to purify the blind actions of any upon the earth who desire these purifying fires. 11. What is divided? Life from death. This old world has passed away, and the sun up above will one day pass away, but the Eshavor, flaming sword, word, will never pass away. It is the truth throughout all time. Not one symbol, nor one dot will ever pass away from that pure shelter until everything that is written is accomplished. The walking dead are not alive, and the living who are at rest will never die. In the golden age, when you buried what is dead, you made it alive. When you put on that light, then what you did is what you became. In the golden age, when you become one with the light, you became two. Now, when you become two, what on earth will you be? 12. The next leader. Then a dispute rose up among the truth seekers as to which one of them would become the next leader. So the truth seekers breathed before Yeshua. We know, as you said, that you are going to leave us. So who will be our next leader? Yeshua breathes before them. No matter where you are coming from, you must seek out and go to the seat of the light, who are perfect within the flowing light, for whose sake alone the sun, earth, moon, and all of the stars came into being. 13. Who is Yeshua like? Yeshua breathes before his truth seekers. Compare me with someone and tell me who I am like. Eshamun Kefe, Simon Peter, breathes before him. You are like the anointed, royal Malakeh messenger who is perfect in the flowing light. Matul Eshalah, Matthew, breathes before him. You are like the wise sage who is very disciplined. Then some breathe John the Baptist, Yalganun the Alvavatazar. Then others breathe Elijah, which is Zuleal, the enlightenment that goes round. Then others, one of the star navigators, prophets. The duplicate Adam breathes before him. That's Thomas. Seed planter, my mother's star, master. My mouth is totally incapable of breathing who you are like. Yeshua breathes. Am I not your mother's star, light? Because you have drank from the source, you have become intoxicated from this flowing river of light, what flows from within me, without measure, in endless duplication. So he took him aside, and he breathes three things for him. Then when the atom Thomas, returned to his brothers, they asked him, what did Yeshua breathe before you? The atom then breathes before them. If I tell you one of the breathings expressed, you will want to pick up rocks and stone me. But then fire would come out of those stones and consume all of you. Yeshua breathes again. But who do you breathe that I am? Eshamun Kefe, Simon Peter, breathes before him. You are the anointed one, the Messiah, the Moleshianke, the Zan, the son of the Veta Aim, living Freya, who is the great Zul of Haim, Elohim, aka God. He then charged them that they shouldn't tell anyone about who he, the I, is at this time. 14. What you breathe and do. Yeshua breathes before them. If you abstain and fast, slow, you could still close your serpent eye, engendering something new. And if you create light, pray, you still could be condemned. And if you give from your hand with charity, Karadai, you could crush that serpent. 14b. Go to the lost sheep, Ashaph. When you traverse the land and are walking into a village by custom, someone takes you in. Eat whatever they prepare and serve for you. Then heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the leper and mentally ill there among them. Then breathe before them. The royal domain of Freya in the great house of the sun shines down upon you. Remember that whatever goes into your mouth, it will not defile you, but rather it is what comes out of your own mouth that can truly defile you. 15. The second born. Yeshua breathes. When you see one who is no longer born of the woman, bow your face to the ground and give thanks, because this one is the Father's perfect creation. 16. A sword, word of division. Yeshua breathes. It may be that the faithful people think that I have come to impose peace upon the earth, yet they cannot see that it is a sword, a shavor, words of great division and fire that I have imposed upon the earth, with a burning fire, Freor, at the very center of it. For my Eshavor, sword, word has come for 5 people in one home, but there will be 3 against 2. I have come to separate a son, a Zan, from an ignorant father who is against the son. A daughter is to be separated from her ignorant mother, and a bride from her mother-in-law. And Ashan's mortal enemies will be the very dark seed of his own household. For this reason, it is required that the pure seed should stand alone in the body of the one. Anyone who loves his father or his mother more than me is not worthy, the center of my eye, of me. And anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy, the center of my eye, of me. So everyone who does not take up this standard to cross over this barrier and follow me is not worthy, the center of my eye, of me, the true mother's eye. The eye, he who is obsessed with his earthly position and holding on to it will lose it. But anyone who is willing to lose their earthly position for my cause will find the Veta, life, in a day without end. Whoever receives you receives me, the mother's eye. And the eye, he who receives me, receives the one of the many, him who has sent me. Anyone who cares for or helps a star navigator who comes in the royal title of the great Zul of Haim, Elohim, will receive a star navigator's reward. And anyone who is focused on the light will receive the same flowing light. Anyone who will give a cup of refreshing water to one of my little ones in the royal title as a truth seeker, it is the truth that I breathe before you. The reward he is due is waiting for him. And now we're going to go to a break, ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes. And when we get back, we'll do part 2. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast, and time to call a friend. We'll be right back. Okay.
And now, and now, back to you, Desert.
Welcome back to Asia Vortex, ladies and gentlemen, and you are listening to a read of the Gospel of the Atom correctly, the star message of enlightenment of the atom, misnomered as the Gospel of Thomas. This is an ongoing live project. It's called the Original Thought Transliteration Project, or OTTP for the acronym. And it's been a life's work. And just as of last year, 2020, was I officially ready to do 2020 vision. Interesting, right? To do this uh, project, because it was all prep. It's a lifetime of prep to be able to get here, and then ultimately to become a leading adept in the Indo-Germanic, which is first. That which is first is superior. That which is first is original. And they wanted us stuck in the Hebrew and Greek because the Hebrew is controlled by the Khazarian uh, Jewish Front, and they're not Israel. They've taken over Israel. They kicked out the Palestinians and are wreaking havoc in our world. They are the controlling element of the Vatican and run all banking and wage all wars and control the wars, and including the propaganda movies that go along with it. And so they also did a trick on our scriptures, our shultres, not skip truth, scripture, shultre, sutures, and they tie everything together. So it's you're going to be hearing the Ashavors, which is the original for word. The Ashavor means the royal eye at the center, Ashavortex, okay? And so what was breathed into Hadam, what belonged to who were called the Nazare, not Nazarene or Nazarite, they were the Nazare, what was breathed into the nostril, the original thought. And so this precedes Hebrew and Greek by like 5,000 years, give or take. Okay, it's because they cut us off from the past, and when they came back from Babylon after the Babylonian exile, that's Yeshua trying to tell us something. When he banished them to Babylon, they come back with the Babylonian Talmud, and they changed all the words. They took out the sacred name Yahweh and put in there Adonai. When you read it backwards, it's India. Okay, it's the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen, and it's nobody can figure this out. It's revealed. I've got to tell you, because Yeshua has been revealing to me down a trail of a lifetime, to have all these pieces come together. And so we can do a program on questions. If anybody has questions, we can go to Ask Desert Owl. We're going to do that maybe once a week over there if anybody has questions about this, because I got to tell you, it's relevant truth to who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are. And I would assume that somebody out there wants to know, okay? Because they got everybody quoting scripture saying Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so, and they don't know that all the words have been changed, and they don't and they apparently don't give much interest into what changed from what into what. And it's relevant because it's deeper. I mean, even the Aramaic alone was like a the way Sanskrit is being regarded as a deep science of a universe that unfolds. But instead, we got Pig Latin, and in English, we speak the worst form of communication in the history of mankind. So it's worth paying attention to and to wrapping your mind around it. So let's get back to it, okay? So we're on verse 17 and the Great Spirit. Great honorable Great and honorable is the divine, the Trevane promise that the Yahweh Lord has made with his own mouth to those who are separate and pure. The eye, he will bestow upon them what Yeshua breathes. I introduce you to what no natural eye or a has seen. Give what no common ear can hear. Reveal what no hand has ever touched. and what has never occurred to any earthly heart or mind. It is what the great Zulafhaim Elohim has prepared for all of those who love him. This is how there will be an incomparable race that is incomprehensible, coming from the eternity to the great eternity. 18. The beginning as the end. The truth seekers breathe before Yeshua. Inform us as to how our end will be. Yeshua breathes. Have you discovered the beginning so that now you inquire about the end? Where you find the beginning is also where you find the end. Whoever will stand in the beginning is endowed, enlightened, separated, and accepted with a mind's eye, for seeing in the night. This one will know the end and will not die. Seeing then that of such is the end, as all enemies have been subdued and subjected under the anointed one, where death, the last enemy, has been destroyed. And whereas the kingdom, royal domain, has been delivered up to the Yahweh, the one great Father of light, by the Messiah, the Mashiach, before whom all things are subjected. Let us, I breathe, from such an ending of time as this, let us contemplate the beginning of all things, for the end is always to be found at the beginning. 19. Coming into being. Yeshua breathes, endowed, enlightened, separated, and accepted with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, is he, the eye, who becomes established before he came into being. If you become my truth seekers and listen to my seed planting, the stones upon this ground would support you. If you continue in my Ashavors, flaming swords, words, preserving in my doctrine, you will in truth become my truth seekers, and you will know Kevano, Kenova, the truth will set you free. For there are 12 branches in Avon, the eye of the one for you. Their fruit never changes in summer nor in winter, and their leaves do not fall off. And whoever eats from them will no longer experience this death, the emath, the amath. 20. The mustard seed. The truth seekers breathe before Yeshua. Please tell us what the royal domain in the great house of the sun is like. The eye, he breathes before them. With what should we compare the royal domain of the great Zulafhaim Elohim in the loving shadow of the Freya's light? Or with what power vault could we compare it? It is like the mustard seed, for it is among the smallest of seeds, but when it falls on perfect soil, it produces very large branches, so that it becomes a pure shelter for the birds of the sky, the Shekinah, under the great glowing light of the sun, where they can make their nests in its shade. 21. The truth seekers. Mary, Mariam, correctly, Metzarem, breathes before Yeshua. What are your truth seekers like? The eye, he breathes. They are like our innocent offspring, living within a field that does not belong to them. So when the owner of the field finally returns, he will breathe, you must now leave my field and give it back to me. Then they will remove all of their clothing while they are standing there in front of him in order to give it back. And this is similar to how they return the earth back to him. But be forewarned, if the owner of an estate, knew at what hour of the night that the thief was coming, he would be on his guard before the thief arrived, and he would not allow anyone to break into his domain to steal away all or any of his very valuable possessions. And it is just like this for you then. Be prepared, for you are all preparing as well. So you must put on a very great inner strength and guard yourself against this world, or else those robbers could find a way to get to you. For all of the trouble that you fear in a moment that you do not expect it, you can be sure that it will come to try you at a moment when you are not looking. Yeshua breathes, endowed, enlightened, separated, and accepted with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, is the Ashan who knows where the thief is going to break through and enter, so that he could rise up and gather at the estate entrance, having armed and prepared himself. It is the truth throughout all time. I am coming like a thief, endowed, enlightened, separated, and accepted with a mind's eye for seeing in the night. Is the eye who is awake, keeping his white robe unspotted, so that he may not go naked and be exposed. For you yourselves know very well that the Spirit, the Yahweh, the Spirit of the Yahweh, misnomered as Yahweh, misnomered as Lord, comes like a thief in the night. So let there be among you an Ashan who comprehends and is wise. Because once the crop is mature and ripe, the reaper comes quickly, bringing Veta fire, a life, with the sickle in hand, as another star is harvested into the great light. So whoever has ears to hear should listen. List 10 to this then. Be watchful for your life. Do not let your lamp be put out, nor your weakest part unprotected, because you must always be ready, since you do not know the hour in which your spirit healer and great sunrise comes. His truth seekers breathe before him. When will you return to us in the great sunrise? When will we see you again? When you have undressed and are no longer ashamed. 22. The nursing infants. Just a second. Then the mothers were presenting their babies, the vaves, new creations, before Yeshua, so that he could place his hands upon them. But when the truth seekers saw this, they forbid them. But Yeshua called them over to him, and he breathed to them, allow these little ones to come to me, and do not forbid them. For these are just like those who can enter the royal domain of the Son. Then Levi, who is called Mathu-Eshalad, Matthew, for this reason asked him, Rabbi, Rave, royal star eye, how then shall we reach the kingdom, the royal domain? So Yeshua answers him, unless you are willing to change and become as tiny babies, vaves, all new creations. You will never enter the kingdom, the royal domain. It is when you make the two as one, when you make what is hidden within like that which is exposed without, and that which is exposed without like that which is hidden within, and make what is below like what is above. When you make the female male, one and the same, with the result being that the female is no longer female and the male is no longer male, trampling on the covering of shame, with freedom in the place of slavery and slavery in the place of freedom. When you put an eye in the place of an eye, a hand in the place of a hand, an ankle in the place of an ankle, and the image in the place of an image, only then will you gain the entrance of the great Father's, Freithor's royal domain. Unless you make what is on the right hand what is on the left hand, and the left hand as what is on the right, and what is behind as what is before, you will never recognize the kingdom, the royal domain. Yeshua saw some tiny babies, the vaves, new creations, nursing. So the eye he breathes before his truth seekers. These infants that are breastfeeding are just like those who are entering into the royal domain in the great house of the Son. They breathe before him. So we must enter the kingdom, the royal domain, as a tiny baby, a vave, a new creation then. It is the truth throughout all time that I breathe before you. He, the eye who does not completely receive the royal domain of the great Zul of Haim, Elohim, like a trusting youth, will in no way be able to enter it. 23. The chosen. Yeshua breathes, I will come to you, one, out from the infinite number, and two, from 10 times Tau Zen, and they will stand as one body, Vate, serpent eye. Now there are many who are called, but there are very too few who are chosen, the Kozan. The Savior, Eshavor, responded and breathes before Mary Metzarem. I can breathe before you. They will find one out from the infinite number, and two from 10 times the Tau Zen, all to complete this mystery of the first mystery. However, the majority of Ashan will never be able to comprehend these things. 24. The place. Yeshua breathes, I must go to the place from which I have come, and if you desire to come with me, come. His truth seekers breathe. Tell us everything about the place where you are going, since we all must look for it. Yeshua breathes before them. Let all who have ears listen. For Ashan, there is a light generated within the seed of light that shines down perfectly upon the entire world. And then it enters the body, the Vate, illuminating those with straight eyes and focus. But if he, the eye, is not ignited by all of this, then the eye, he remains in complete darkness. For this reason, you must be cautious, unless the force that is found within you remains the great void of darkness. If the eye walks in the light of the day, he does not stumble, because he is guided by the light, made for all of this world to see. But if the eye, he walks in the darkness of having his A's closed, then he falls, because this light does not shine at all within him. Yet the A, who stands in the darkness, has the greatest potential to see that greater light. 25. Love your brothers. Yeshua breathes, love your near brothers, the brathor supporting power, as your own self, and guard him as the apple of your eye. This is one of the two great mandates. The entire Pure Shelter law can be summed up with one statement. You must love your neighbor, your near brother, as you would love yourself. 26. A vision. Yeshua breathes a power volt before them. How can the blind Ashan lead the blind? Will not both of them fall into the same pit? A truth seeker can't be above his mother's star, master. But every Ashan who has been perfected in the fires, Frey yours, will be just as his mother Zar, the seed planter, teacher. Yeshua breathes, do not condemn others, and you will not be condemned. For that focusing light that you shine down upon another will be focused down upon you. And with the very same measure that you use to measure out for others, it will be used to measure out for you. How is it you can see the grain of sand in your brother's eye, in his A, and yet you do not notice the giant boulder that is within your own eye? How can you state to your brother, let me remove the grain of sand out of your eye, when there is a boulder stuck in your own A? Since it is a claim that you can see the grain of sand in your brother's eye, in his A, and yet you cannot see the great boulder that is stuck within your own eye. You great pretender. First, remove the boulder from out of your own eye. And once you have removed the boulder from out of your own eye, your own A, this is when you will see clearly enough to be able to help remove the grain of sand from out of your own brother's eye. 27. The separation, fast, and rest. Yeshua breathes, if you do not separate and abstain from this world, you will never find, excuse me, you will never find, let me try this again. Yeshua breathes, if you do not separate and abstain from this world, you will never find the Yahweh, Lord's royal domain, kingdom. If you do not observe the true Eshavah, Sabbath, as the true rest, the true royal star, you will never see the great Father, the Phreathor, who rules from his throne in the sun. So it is required that we abstain from worldly things, fast, slow, in order that we might die to this lost world and have our eyes, our A's opened, having partaken of the divine, the Trevane nourishment, and truly live for the great Zul of Haim, Elohim. Vorn Rulkeath, that's blessed, correctly in the Aramaic, Baruch, but in the Indo-Germanic, Vorn Rulkeath, endowed, enlightened, separated and accepted with the mind's eye, the A for seeing in the night, are all of those who renounce this world, for they are the ones who will be pleasing to the great Zulafhaim, Elohim. We must renounce all love for the world. But this dead nature does not move forward except through creating light, praying, and by fasting, slowing. 28. Drunk on the old Vena. The logo, a Shavor, royal flaming sword, word, was made Freilash, flesh. Should be is made Freyash, Freyalash, flesh. Flash, the spark of creation. And these, I just have to add, these elements of the Indo-Germanic are right in our face. And that's part of the great mystery. They just corrupted the Aramaic Indo-Germanic. Go listen to our back programs. You get an earful. The eye, he walked and sojourned, a star traveler among us. And we could see all his illumination, the only engendered great sunrise, being the first made next to the great Ava, Father of the light, filled with a favor for all, grace, and the absolute truth. And since you cannot see these writings, ladies and gentlemen, what I have done is I put the modern, then a forward slash, and the original thought with it on the same verse. And that way you can see the transitional thought and begin to get the picture on how you can interpret for yourself the original thought, because as Waddell said in the 1800s, who wrote the dictionary on Sumerian language, said that we're speaking 70% Sumerian. They hid all it is from us. His words aren't repeated. His dictionaries are hiding, you know? And so it's the mystery that unfolds. It all starts with the light. And the light, the sun, is the symbol of the first made, the first atom, which is the substance of all things. Continuing. Yeshua breathes, I took my stand at the navel of the earth. That's Jerusalem. And I stood among them, an atomic creation of matter. But I found all of them drunk on the old wine, the vine wine. I found that the authority were not at all thirsty. And my soul, it is in pain for the offspring, the spring of Ashan, because they are all blind in their hearts and they cannot see, since they came into this world completely empty. They are for this reason also seeking to leave this world completely empty. So for a moment, they are drunk on the old wine, the old vine. But once they sober up, the intoxication having left them, they will look to switch their own path, to rebreathe with the breath of a star, a czar, to repent. Truly great is the divine, Trevane mystery of the perfection in the flowing light. It is all revealed in the flesh, the flash of the flesh, the spark, justified by the pure breath, the sphere, the spirit, revealed and seen by the royal messengers, being recognized and documented in the world, then taken back up into the infinite throne of the Son of the great Zulafhaim, Elohim, in the day without end. 29. The marvel. Yeshua breathes, if the flesh existed for the sake of the Aisha fire, the spirit, it would be a marvel. But if the Aisha fire, the A spirit, the Aisha fare, is pre-existent and the source for the body, the vate, the serpent eye of sacrifice, then this would be the marvel of marvels. Still I marvel at how this great and infinite wealth has come to dwell within such poverty. But you are no longer moved by nor in the serpent flesh, but in the Asia fire, the A spirit, the Asia of the mind, if it is true that the A spirit of the Yahweh in the loving shadow of Freya's light lives within you. But if an Ashan does not have the Asha fire, the A spirit, the Asha fare of the Messiah, the Malaysianke, then this Ashan has not yet been adopted in. Because this sensual serpent flesh is at war with the Asha fire, the A spirit, the Asha fare of the mind, while the Asha spirit, the A spirit, the Asha fare of the mind is at war with the sensual serpent flesh. And these two are pitted, the one against the other, so that the weak struggle to do what is required to be set free. For those who are led by the Asha fire, the A spirit, the Asha fare of the mind of the great Zuluvhaim, Elohim, Yeshua, are the seed of the Son. 30. There is nowhere he, the I, is not. Yeshua breathes. In the place where there are three Zuluvhaim, Elohim, enlightened ones, who have come together for the cause in my royal title, they are all the enlightened Zuluvhaim, Elohim. But where there is two, I am in their center. Or if there is only one alone, I am with that one I as well. Lift up a stone and you will find my images with me there. Split a section of wood and my images are there with me as well. The Great Spirit rules not only from the Son, but permeates all things, even the most insignificant form. I am in the fire, Freyur, and in the water, Volsar, as I am in every life-breathing form of Father, Architect, and Mother, Creator, even every manifestation of Veta life with its substance is connected. 31. An outcast. They were questioning his authority by breathing. From where did he acquire all of this knowledge? And they took great offense at his posture. Yeshua breathes. There is no doubt that you will all quote for me these proverbs. This proverb. Naga healer, heal yourself. Those things we heard you do in Capernaum, do here in your own village of your fatherland. It is the truth that I breathe before you. A star navigator is never welcome, nor is he honored in the Tsar navigator's very own home community. Nor does the healer heal any of those Ashan who had formerly known him. So he did not display his great power there for many, all because of their hardened hearts and lack of trust in this victory of light. 32. A citadel built upon a mountain. Moon 10. You are a light for the world, an illuminated citadel, having been built upon a high mountain with great fortifications, that which can neither be breached nor can it be hidden. Those who speak spark the Eshavors, words, flaming swords of fire, and who enlightens the inner souls of Ashan, are like the rays of the sun when once they have come forth and appeared to the world, can no longer be concealed or hidden. While they are not so much regarded by Ashan, still they afford a clear vision for all. Then it was well stated by one of the heralds of truth, you are the great light and mother star of the world, czar of the world, and that citadel built high upon the mountain that can no longer be hidden. 33. The servant and the master. It is written, the truth-seeking scholar, the shular, is not better or greater than his rabbi, Rave, royal star eye, seed planter, nor is a servant above his mother star and sunrise, master and Lord. But it is the fulfillment for the truth seeker to be just like his Rave, his royal star eye seed planter, and a servant just like his mother's star and sunrise, master and Lord. If all other nations regularly call upon Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, as their own deity, how much more then should the sovereign seat of the Yahweh's true light in the loving shadow of our Freya's royal eye of the creation call upon him? There's your duality. But if they have called the mother star of the house, the beetle and the bull, Baal, Beelzebul, how much more then the offspring of his own house? But because of this, do not be afraid of them, for there is nothing being done in secret that will not be revealed, and there is no secret that will not be shouted out to all the world and made known. What I tell you in the darkness, declare within the great light of day. What you hear from me whispered in your ear, shout it out for all the other ears who are willing to hear it. Shout it out from your rooftops. It is you who are a light for the rest of the world, a citadel built upon a mountain top that cannot be hidden. Because no one lights a lamp and then puts it under the table for counting their seed, nor do they hide it away. But instead, they put it above the table, the tavul, that means the ultimate end, on a lampstand, so that anyone who enters in or leaves may be able to see by this great light. So do not be afraid of those who can kill the vate, the serpent eye, yet have no real power, and are not able to kill the soul, the shul, but instead revere him, the one of the many, who is able to destroy both the body and the soul, and throw them back into the fires of dissolution, a never-ending darkness. Those who speak the word, the Eshavor, the royal flaming sword of truth, and enlighten the souls of Ashan, seem to me to be like the rays of the sun, who when once they have come forth and appeared to the world, can no longer be concealed or hidden. While they are not seen by many Ashan, they afford a vision for all. But how can anyone reach them, discern their challenge, and lead them out of one's own fire of torment? Here is where the soul, the shul, has the need for the great divine Travain lamp, namely the pure breath, the Holy Spirit, who puts everything in order, perfects and all illuminates the departed, the darkened house. The soul, the shul, needs the bright and shining sun of the focusing light which purifies and shines upon the heart. 34. Led into the pit of destruction. Just a moment. Yeshua breathes. This is how they may maintain the victory of light in conviction and everywhere deliver the rule of truth by explaining all things that are after our tradition, unless being dragged down through ignorance themselves, being drawn into error by conjectures beyond their own minds. They then bring all others into that same pit of destruction. Then the truth seekers approach Yeshua and breathe before him. Did you notice how the Pharisees were offended when they heard your Eshavors, the flaming swords of fire, words? So he breathes before them. Every plant that has not been planted by my great father, Phaethor, the Yahweh, the producer, who rules from his throne in the sun, will be uprooted and burned. Leave these great pretenders behind. They are the blind leaders of the blind. So he breathes this power volt before them. Can the blind really lead the blind? If a blind Ashan is leading a blind Ashan down the road, then both of them will be blindly led into the ditch. 35. The breach of the house. Yeshua breathes. But if I, by the divine Trevain power, in the great breath of the wind and fire, pure breath, Holy Spirit, throw out the dark lower natures, then the royal domain of the Yahweh has opened up above and appeared before you. When the strong Ashan is fully armed and can guard his own citadel, all of his possessions are secure. But it is not possible to enter the house of a powerful Ashan, taking it by force and plundering all of his royal estate and secret treasures, unless one could first bind his hands and then destroy all of the source of his power. Whoever is not with me, standing by my side, is then fighting against me. And the eye who does not gather with me leads others into further ignorance and all corruption, scattering what yet remains, what could have been saved for the royal domain. So the Savior, Eshavor, soul navigator, word, exhorts us to bind the corrupt body and to seize upon its offenses as of those of the strong infiltrator who is waging war against the cosmic soul, the spirit of all Veta life. If you represent the one in passive virtue, and if you breathe, the serpent is stronger and more powerful than all, it will never be seen that the passive stole the spoils being held by the stronger. In 36, still incomplete, but what we have is trust. Yeshua breathes. You who experience little victory of light, conviction, do not be worried nor concerned from sunrise to sunset and from sunset to sunrise about what you are going to put on, because you are far more important than any of the lilies of the field that can neither weave nor spin, nor about your bread, the metzarot, what you have to consume, what will we drink, For all of these things, the nations of the earth are preoccupied. Yet your great Father, the Praetor, already knows that these things are needful for you. But as for you, since you have no pure garment put on, what will you put on? What is best for your own natural growth? The eye, he is anxiously awaiting to give to you that true and the pure white garment of light. So you must first search and then secure the royal domain of the Yahweh and his purity in the perfection of the flowing light, because all of these things have long been waiting for you. And you just got the forbidden history, ladies and gentlemen, what they didn't want to know you to know, but we tell right here. And we intend to continue this series in a shorter form for those who have little time and a long way to go. We're going to do segments on words and the original thought Schultes scriptures that have been fragmented and corrupted by the priesthoods that are running the world and want to give you the jab. The same group have destroyed our Schultes, and it's time to get them back. And like I say, we can talk about these things, bring you on. You can ask the questions. I'm happy to discuss these things because the time is short and we have a long way to go. So stay tuned for the additional broadcasts that are coming, and we'll try to make lemonade out of the lemons that they have given us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Desert Owl, thanking you for tuning in. And don't forget, if you want to know the future, you need to look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here, coming your way, somewhere out there, 7 days a week. It's what they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. Peace and love. And Lynn, good to see you, and everybody else out there. We'll catch you real soon, the Father willing.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as starry, starry night. Portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never